If you suspect your spouse will not agree to a divorce or he or she isn't going to be willing to resolve the terms of the divorce amicably, are there ways that you can prepare your case in advance?
Yes, obviously it depends on what issue you think the other spouse is going to be apart on. But if it's things like, well, I don't think that they're going to give me a separate property credit for me putting premarital funds into the marital residence. Well, a way to prepare is to get evidence of that premarital contribution, whatever evidence you can. Sometimes you have to go back to the real estate attorney that represented you to get the closing statement. Sometimes you have to go to your bank to get copies of checks that were cut, or copies of an old bank statement that might be in your financial institution's archives at this point, and you may have to pay to get those. And sometimes getting those statements from archives takes several months. So you might as well start now if you perceive the other side is not going to settle on that issue. Other examples are if custody is going to be contested. Well, then as best as you can, what you want to start doing is lining up statements from as many quote unquote unbiased sources as possible that are involved with the child or children. So that means testimonial statements from teachers, guidance counselors, principals, doctors, dentists, people that do or head up the extracurricular activities for the children. And really what those testimonial statements are is speaking to your involvement with the children on those various activities vis-a-vis the relative lack of involvement of the other parent. Even things like who brings the children to school and who picks up the children from school. If your school has a sign-in, sign-out list, get copies of the list. You should be able to contact the school administration and seeing if you can get copies in advance. Sometimes they'll say, sorry, we don't release that information without a subpoena. Okay, well, now you know that. Now you can report that back to your attorney and the attorney can prepare the subpoena, because the key thing is requesting documentation from the various entities is a lot faster to get that documentation, but you want to start that as soon as possible, because if you do have to go the route of subpoenaing the documents, sometimes the subpoenas take several months to actually get those documents in. So you really want to start that process as soon as you can. Other things you may want to discuss with your attorney is whether it makes sense to hire a private investigator or a forensic accountant, depending on what issues are being contested and what that forensic accountant or that investigator is going to discover. Not all cases call for those people to be assigned, because you really want to discuss with your attorney whether particular issues can be simply discovered through the normal course of discovery that's conducted in contested divorce case. So an example, you get in a net worth statement from the other side and they don't report a house in another state that your client thinks that they actually own. Well, instead of hiring an investigator, why not have the attorney simply send out a demand for interrogatories? So a demand for interrogatories are a bunch of questions that the other side would have to answer under oath. And one of the questions that you can pose to them is, do you own any other property? Do you even have an interest in any other property anywhere in the world other than what you've listed on your net worth statement? Now, if they answer yes, then there's no need to hire a private investigator, because now you have all of the information that you need. But if they say no, well, then now you definitely know you have to hire a private investigator to track down the deed or title of that other property.